What about my love? Wasn't it enough? Just let me know.
All right, what's up, everybody? It's Dante from East Coast Gridiron here with my very first mock draft of the season. I tend to like to do these after the Senior Bowl. If you guys didn't know, if you haven't checked out the channel in a while, we actually went to the Senior Bowl. It was me, Fishing, and Sora. We went out to Mobile, Alabama to check it out. We were there on day number 2, so we were there from Wednesday to Saturday. We actually got to see the game as well. As media guys, taking a ton of notes, watching the players. It was mad fun. But this is around the time that I actually like to do the mock drafts as well, because now I have a little bit more knowledge on some players that I probably didn't see before. And you're going to see that reflected in this mock draft. This mock draft's kind of crazy, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. So I'm gonna give an explanation on why I picked every single player where I picked them, and hopefully you get to learn a little bit about these players, and you hopefully, you know, the explanation that I give makes some sense on why I put the players where I put them. So hang on with me. We're gonna start out with the bang. To just start out, there's not going to be any usual editing that you usually see in this, but I will include some. So what we're going to do is we're going to start out with a crazy trade, and I think this makes sense because it's going to make the Bears happy, and it's also going to make the Texans happy with some problems that they're having. So to start out, the Houston Texans have traded their number 2 overall pick in Brandon Cooks to the Chicago Bears for a 64th overall pick and Justin Fields. So the Houston Texans are going to receive the 64th overall pick and Justin Fields, and the Chicago Bears are going to receive Brandon Cooks and a number 2 overall pick. This not only shores up a veteran wide receiver for the Bears, but the Texans get their quarterback, and Justin Fields actually goes to a pretty decent place where they can start building up with a brand new coach and everything as well. So I think this is a crazy trade, but I think it's realistic in the fact that let's go through the first 2 picks and let's see who exactly the Bears select. So let's start out with pick number 1, Bryce Young, number 1 overall. They're going to go after this kid. He's great. The best quarterback that we've scouted in this draft. The only problem that we have on him is his size, but we know what Bryce Young brings to the table. Actually coming off a down season last year with Alabama, actually bodes him well coming to this draft because he still performed well. Didn't have a 1,000-yard running back, didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver, and he's coming to a team where not only he's going to have Brandon Cooks there, but now he has Darnell Mooney and he has Chase Claypool, who are 2 younger guys, and they can start building around with that with Cole Kmet, get that offensive line bolstered up in free agency, maybe the end of this draft, and it gives them a lot more draft capital. So we're going to actually go to the defensive side of the ball, losing Roquan Smith. You're going to bring in Will Anderson Jr., which is a teammate of Bryce Young's, but is possibly the best edge rusher in this class as far as talent. Everybody knows what Will Anderson is about. Multiple time award winner. He is just a great talent to have on your team. And not only do you get 2 young guys on your team, but 2 of the best at their position on your team. To me, if I was a Chicago Bears fan, I would not be mad in sending Justin Fields somewhere else if you can kind of start over. And it's a high risk, high reward with Bryce Young. I think you're more secure on Will Anderson's side, but edge rushers and quarterbacks make a difference on their respective sides of the ball. Let's go over to the Cardinals at the number 3 pick. Jalen Carter is probably the most well-respected prospect since Aaron Donald that's coming into the league as an interior defensive lineman. They need it bad. They need somebody to help them in the running game, and he's going to be that force. You hope he's everything that is advertised. The kid's absolutely incredible out of Georgia. The Colts don't really need to do anything. They're sitting in a prime spot to get CJ Stroud or any other quarterback that they want, but I think they go with CJ Stroud. They get another kid from up north that they can easily scout, be there for his pro day without a lot of travel time. And let's see what he does in the combine if he, decides to participate there. They don't have to travel too far for that because he's going to be right there in their hometown. So I think you go after CJ Stroud. What he proved in the Georgia game is that he can really do this. He can really sling the rock. I think Ryan Day was holding him back. So you send him up there with whatever coach that they decide, and I think he's going to be a great teammate to have, and also a great quarterback for the Colts for years to come. Myles Murphy at edge for the Seahawks. They need defensive linemen. You're going to see this throughout my mock draft. They need defensive linemen to help out Quandre Diggs and Tariq Woolen to make them better You know, like I said, edge rusher is probably the most important position right now in today's game outside of quarterback. So you go ahead and bring an edge rusher. Miles Murphy's definitely that. At Clemson, he was an absolute demon. So let's go to the Lions. Jeff Okudah, do we think that he is going to be an elite weapon for years to come? He played pretty well this year by all accounts. But you go ahead and you shore him up with another cornerback that he can partner with, and that's Devin Witherspoon, who has every single tool in the toolkit. Everybody knows this. If you watched Illinois' football team, they were a great defense this year. They were in multiple times in the top 20 and top 30 all year long. Damn near almost beaten Michigan if they just would have stuck it together. They're a good team, and Devin Witherspoon was a big part of that. Outside of like Keely Ringo, he's actually not on this list, but you know, he's the most complete. He can be physical, he's fast, he's got every tool in the toolkit to be the next great cornerback. Now the Raiders, this might be a head scratcher for some, but I think this kid just fits in. A lot of people think that Aaron Rodgers is going to get traded here, but I still think you go and get Max Duggan to sit behind Aaron Rodgers. Look, nobody's questioning the grit of Max Duggan. Nobody's questioning that he has heart. He is a well-rounded quarterback that could use some coaching. Had a really good Senior Bowl week. He played okay in the Senior Bowl itself, but he was the heart and soul of TCU for sure. You go and get Max Duggan, and you do your thing. I think that he just breathes, and just seems like a Raiders quarterback. Maybe I'm going a little bit off of feeling here, but he might be this year's Blake Bortles for sure, which is a weird pick. Another weird pick, but I think helps out. You bring one Florida kid to help out another Florida kid in Kyle Pitts. Anthony Richardson, nobody's questioning his intangibles either. Fast, tall, physical, big, got a big arm. I know one guy described on our live stream last night as, you know, Cam Newton was the last quarterback to make a football seem like a Nerf ball. You know, you go after Anthony Richardson, and you can get a good coach in there and hopefully guide him to get coached himself by like Jordan Palmer or something to bring out most of that talent that he might have. Him and Drake London, Tyler Algier, and Cordell Patterson and all those guys, that would be a really fun squad to watch. They'd be super fast all over the place. So I don't know. They might pull the trigger on him. I don't know if they're totally sold on Desmond Ridder. And we know that the Marcus Mariota project is over with at this point in time. Number 9, the Panthers are going after Tyree Wilson. I'm not the highest on this kid. You can go to our channel and you can watch the tape on him. I was not impressed by what he had showed at Texas Tech. But I think it's because he's so vanilla in the game. He's like one of those kids that doesn't know what his full capabilities are. You know, if he was to put it all together. He's not the quickest, but he's big. He's lengthy. He knows how to read, knows how to read an offense. He knows how to pursue the ball. I just don't know if he knows how to put all that together in one package. So you team him up with, I think Luke Kuechly is still helping coach that team. Luke Kuechly can guide him. And then also you're pairing him up with Brian Burns, who was, say what you want about Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick had a great year, but Brian Burns was one of his best teammates and helping him shine when he was with Carolina. Brian Burns is underrated. He has almost the same type of intangibles that Tyree Wilson has, and let him grow under not only, Luke Kuechly's guidance, but also you have him grow under Brian Burns as well. Derek Brown's there, JC Horn's there. Just get you a whole bunch of young studs on that team. They're going to be fine. I think that's a good spot for him. The Eagles, they're going to be depleted this season. They're getting old. Guard position is one of those things that they're going to need to fill, or either tackle or either center. O'Cyrus Torrence said he could play all three. We interviewed him. He played tackle for Louisiana before he transferred over to Florida with Billy Napier. Bringing O'Cyrus Torrence to be an Eagle, and I think you're going to be great. He was great all in the senior week as well. It's our Senior Bowl week and in the game. Jordan Addison is the best wide receiver in the class. I'm looking at you. Let me say this one more time. Jordan Addison is the best wide receiver in this class. He can block. He can catch. He has the intangibles to do really, really well in any offense he goes to. Former Biletnikoff winner. He was incredible. The only thing about him last season is he got hurt. and it's getting dark in this room, so I'm gonna try to get through this video. I think the Treylon Burks experiment, and I called it, was not going to work out that well. I think a lot of people were over enamored thinking that he was going to be the next AJ Brown, so you automatically went into the expectation of him being that. Let him learn under Robert Woods and be a true #1 wide receiver, because he has that. The only knock on Jordan Addison is the downfield speed is not there, but the way that he can get off the line and 5 yards, and he runs a whole route tree and has an incredible set of hands, and he can catch it from anywhere. Get Jordan Addison on the Titans immediately. Interior defensive line for the Texans is depleted as well, and I think DeMeco Ryans goes out after the best one, the best player, Brian Breesy from Clemson. Bring him in there. Nothing else to be said. Help out your young defense in general with him. The Jets, I think what they're going to try to do is help out the quarterback as much as possible. Peter Skoronski here at number 13 from Northwestern, the best tackle in the class. Go and get him. Number 14, Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State. Go and get that guy too to help out Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. And I think you're building towards what this offense and the capabilities could be. And then you know how Bill Belichick will do. He'll go out in free agency and find people as well. Now, if I said Aaron Rodgers is going, then you got to bring in a quarterback. And I think what Matt LaFleur, to me, just seems like he's going to fall in love with Will Levis. Bring Will Levis in, and if Aaron Rodgers is there, let him sit behind Aaron Rodgers. If he's not, let him sit behind Jordan Love. If Jordan Love doesn't want to be there, then I guess you got the kid that everybody's been over enamored with, which is Will Levis. I don't understand why people love him so much. I think Chris Rodriguez was the best player on Kentucky, but that's just me. All right, so the next one up, Nolan Smith, edge rusher from Georgia. We know he had some injury issues towards the end of the season. Going to the Washington Commanders. They don't know what they want to do with Chase Young yet. You bring in Nolan Smith to be that bridge guy just in case he doesn't live up to the hype. And you get a guy to sit behind Montez Sweat and Chase Young and learn from the down, learn from the pits and see what he can do. I think that this is a really good spot for the Commanders to go ahead and get him. And you trust in Sam Howell at this point. I think he'll be a good quarterback. When I say this next pick, Keion White, was our favorite player in the Senior Bowl, I wasn't kidding. He went from being ranked at like the 130s to like the 30s in a matter of days by how well he performed. He is a little vanilla, but I think he's going to get it together. Him and TJ Watt would be absolute assassins on the same team. And Mike Tomlin was there scouting him all week. He loves the kid, and I think this is going to be one of those surprise picks, but they don't draft him for no reason, man. I think right here at number 17, Keion White is going to be one of those dudes that we're going to be mentioning from a long time, and he's going to keep TJ Watt healthy. Quentin Johnson to the Lions. I think they need another big body wide receiver. DJ Chark, not sure if he's going to be there long term, and I'm not sure if he's that reliable with how much he gets injured. I love DJ Chark, but you bring Quentin Johnson in to be a big body receiver. Tight end for the Buccaneers. I think he's just the next best guy up to help out if Kyle Trask is the guy. A pretty good blocking tight end. We know he's a demon. He gets like 100 targets a year at Notre Dame. Bring him Michael Mayer, which he'll be the best pass catching tight end since Rob Gronkowski, for the Buccaneers at least. Siaki Ika from Baylor, defensive and interior defenseman. You bring him in for the Seahawks, and you just keep bolstering that defensive line because that's exactly where they need it. Offensive line played very, very well this year with Geno Smith, so I don't think he necessarily pulled the trigger quite yet on that. Zay Flowers, you're filling in for Keenan Allen because we already know that dude's going. Mike Williams is your big body. You bring in the next best thing, who is probably the best route runner in this class, and can be an experiment on what he actually can be. A lot of people have said he's better than, he's probably the #1 wide receiver. I don't necessarily think so over Jordan Addison, but hey, if you want to pull the trigger, you pull it right here for the Chargers and get Justin Herbert another weapon. Christian Gonzalez is going to help you do a couple things. He's an experiment, but you bring him in on a young defense that's starting to get better and better and better every single year. Marcus Peters has had some injury issues, so has Marlon Humphrey. And you bring him in to learn between two of the best cornerbacks in the league that have two totally, completely different skill sets. Christian Gonzalez will be a really good fit for them. A lot of people say go wide receiver. Like I said, this is mock draft number 1. I think he might be a good spot right there for the Baltimore Ravens. Minnesota Vikings. Their issue is definitely at safety. Lewis Cine, don't know if he's going to be healthy enough to completely start a season. Cam Bynum, I absolutely did not like him. And then you have a veteran in Harrison Smith. He might be hitting that clock where he just might be getting a little bit too old, even though he played at a high level. It's time to pass the torch. Bring Brian Branch in there. I think he fits their scheme well. He's a complete opposite safety than Jordan Battle is, and I think you'll see him flying around the field if they bring him in there, and I think he can at least be Harrison Smith's next replacement, and I think that's just a good fit at this time. What the Jaguars were lacking was a physical corner this year in Joey Porter, and Joey Porter Jr. would give him that. Him and Tyson Campbell will be absolutely amazing together. As long as he's not pulling flags like he did in college, I think he'll do really well for Jacksonville. The Giants need a wide receiver. Jackson Smith and Jigba is the next one up. He is, I mean, the kid's just good, and he's learned from his teammates too. He's had all kinds of different wide receivers to learn from, and Daniel Jones definitely needs a wide receiver to help him open up the pass game, and that's the guy right there. I was going between him and Josh Downs, and I think Josh Downs would be really good on the Cowboys. With the situation that's going on with the running backs, I think Ezekiel Elliott might take a pay cut, and I think they're going to franchise tag Tony Pollard. I think that's just what's going to happen. I think that's what needs to happen for them. And CeeDee Lamb is going to need somebody that's going to be consistent, and you bring another downfield threat like Josh Downs on that team, CeeDee Lamb and him are going to cook next season, regardless of who their quarterback is. And that would be a quarterback's dream to have him and CeeDee Lamb and whoever else they decide to keep there. I think they'll be good. Bijan Robinson is going to fall to the Bills, and I think they choose him. And here's why. Down the field runner that they have been lacking, and him and James Cook together would be absolutely incredible to watch, with just completely 2 different skill sets. And I think that would be really cool to see them together. And Bijan Robinson that's what they need. They need somebody that's big, tough, can block. Everybody knows what he did at Texas. There's no need to keep going over it. Broderick Jones from Georgia, you bring him in for Joe Burrow. You need the protection. He keeps getting beat up. Just keep bolstering that offensive line. He's the next best tackle up. Tyjae Spears. Now, this one is an interesting one, and hold on here. Nobody knows what's going to happen to Alvin Kamara. But if they draft Tyjae Spears to be a replacement or to be a double-headed monster with him, it's almost like the same running back. He even said himself in our interview, like, he loves Alvin Kamara. He's from Louisiana. He played in Louisiana at Tulane. You bring him in, he's good at blocking, he's good at receiving, and he's speedy like Alvin Kamara. I think that would be an amazing thing for them to do. Not sure if they're going to go in that direction, but I think it makes sense in the grand scheme of things where you have that question mark. I know we're getting a little bit running back heavy here, but Zach Charbonnet to the Chiefs. What are they really weak at right now? It's really hard to say. They're a young team on defense. They have a lot of receivers. We could go wide receiver here, but I think Isaiah Pacheco is too small to be playing in any type of power back type of situation. Bring Zach Charbonnet in, and you automatically get a rookie that's going to make an immediate impact. He's my favorite running back in this class, next to Mohamed Ibrahim. But Zach Charbonnet on film amazed me. He is a great running back. And then for the Eagles, just to wrap this whole thing up, physical over the middle type of safety that can, lay a whacker on you. One thing that they're lacking at is tackling. I think if you really evaluate the film on the Eagles, they are not a great tackling team. Bring Jordan Battle in. He was one of the best safeties when he played. Short tackler, cracky over the middle. He could probably be your next Brian Dawkins if you get him to mold himself the right way. It's kind of funny that he dropped this far and we chose, Brian Branch over him. But I think Jordan Battle just fits a lot better for the Eagles. So what'd you guys think? This is my first mock draft. Hopefully you guys learned something new. Post your mock drafts down below in the comments section. I would love to go back and forth with you guys and kind of see what your thought process is around it. Hopefully what I'm saying makes sense. Hopefully this mock draft gets better and better and better. I put a lot of thought into this, and I know the trade at the beginning was crazy, but anything's possible. That's why this is a cool point in time. Nobody's ever going to be 100% right, but logically, I think these are things that make sense. So this has been Dante with the East Coast Gridiron. Hope you guys learned something. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll talk to you guys later, man. Appreciate it.